everyone watching. You're tuned into Sunrise on ANEKE TV, where every sunrise begins with delightfulness. I'm bringing you Sunrise today. I am Deborah Wakba, coming to you live from our studio here in Vibrant Enugu.
And good morning to you, our global audience. I'm Uche Osai. Wherever you are, in traffic, at home, or even making breakfast, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
Yes, and of course, today is Thursday, 8th January 2026. And of course, we've got a full package for you today here on Sunrise. And also, where we'll be giving you our latest news, what's trending, and of course, that special Sunrise vibe to help us on our day.
So, relax, grab that cup of coffee or tea, enjoy the cruise, because the sunrise is set sail.
Yes, and on Sunrise, we're kicking things off with our quote of the day with words that are thoughtful, words that are inspiring, words that offer insight to whatever we do to help us stay motivated or stay well driven and also be focused.
Then, it's straight into the day's top headlines. All the key news update that you need to be informed will be shared, hot and tasty.
All right, now let's move over to our inspiration segment. But before then, we will be giving you our weather reports that is going to cover major cities in the southeast and beyond. So you know what to expect before you step out. Or if you've stepped out already, it is to keep you throughout the rest of the day.
And later, we'll wrap things up with sports updates, the stock market update, to keep you informed and let you leave your home smiling.
All right. Now, our quote for today coming from Alan Cohen, and in the quote it says, "Do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect." I'm going to take that quote again, coming from Alan Cohen, that says, "Do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect." Now, this quote is a reminder about action, courage, and also growth. Now, this quote coming from Alan Cohen is simply saying that if you wait for the perfect time, perfect resources, or perfect confidence before you start a journey, that you may never begin the journey at all. Because if you're waiting to start something, that is going to take you a whole lot more, and you will never start because you're waiting for the perfect time, you're waiting for the perfect opportunity. And also, he's saying that life can really give us ideal condition. Instead of us to wait, we should just act. We should start by acting. We should keep on moving forward and not wait for the right time. We should create the right time by ourselves. And that is what this quote coming from Alan Cohen is saying. Mr. Ocha, I would like to know your thoughts.
All right, waiting for the perfect time is simply saying procrastination. That's becoming procrastination in disguise. And Alan this morning is telling us that we shouldn't wait. You know, it's not the seller doesn't wait for the sea, for the tide to come down before he sets sail. No, it is those difficult moments at sea that makes a seller, right? So you don't just wait for the coast to be clear. You just start from where you are. So you don't need to wait for that perfect time. There's no perfect time. You don't wait for the plans, for all things to come together. Start from where you are. The plans will begin to come together. And what we are saying in essence is that as we are stepping into a new year, you don't just wait for the whole plan. What plan do you have? Don't wait for that right moment. Start from where you are. Is it a proposal that you have? Send in that proposal. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait because you do not know anybody at that place. Send in that proposal. Start from where you are. There's no need waiting. What do you want to do? You want to go into business. Start from where you are. You don't wait for the money to be complete. No. Start with what you have in your hand. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to go into business, like I do say, you start from your house. Yeah. You can start with the mobile device in your hand. You don't wait till you get a shop in the market. Start from where you are. That's what we have been told this morning. So we need not procrastinate. We need not wait for the weather to align. No. Yeah. Just begin. Once you have that thought in you, start out. Send that proposal. Are you making a new job application? It's time to send those applications out because there can never be a better time. Do not wait for those companies to call in for those adverts. Your own, your submission can make the organization realize that indeed they need someone in this very field. So start from where you are. Are you in the marketplace? Do not wait for you to get the whole goods. No, start from where you are. Are you planning to go into importation? We have been told this morning that we should just start from where we are. The amount in your hand, things are made easier. You can go, go into a combined, importation with people. So start from where you are. It doesn't have to wait. This is the hour, this is the moment, this is the time. And like we always say, it won't be good that at the end of that 365 days count, that the year miss you at that very spot. No, that will be the massive failure. That will be the greatest of all failures, to remain at same spot where 2026 met you. Yes. So do not procrastinate. I do not know what resolutions you've made coming into this year. Start now to implement them. There's no time left. So take that stride. Do not wait behind. Don't procrastinate. Take action. Like we did say yesterday, it's time to take that very step. Do not wait to see the whole staircase. No. You may not see where the staircase leads to, but take that first step. That's what matters. And do remember that it is those, storms, those unseasoned sea, that makes the sailor. So the experience that you gain from taking out will see you to the end. So this is the hour. This is the right moment. No procrastination. Just take that step.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. And also, one thing there is that the act of starting actually builds your confidence and also creates more opportunities for you. And also, when you begin to take that step, you would find out your fear reduces and your confidence also grows, and also that you would learn what works and what doesn't work for you. Now you're going to know what's the right thing to do when you start, actually, not when you're in a stagnant position or when you're in a particular sport and you're thinking of what is going to be, how it's going to end. But instead, if you take that step, you'd find out that you know what works and what doesn't work. And also, this quote is also encouraging us to stop overthinking, that we should stop overthinking, or we should stop waiting for something before we start. Instead, we should be bold enough to start. Like they said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Yes,
so let us take that bold step in walking towards what we want to achieve, and that is what is going to create a perfect end.
Of course. And one thing, I realize that failure is part of success.
Yes,
so we shouldn't be afraid to fail. Just take that step. Doesn't matter if you stumble, if you fail. Failure is an intricate part of success story. So don't be afraid to fail. You can't set out. Yes, failure may be staring in the face, but you shouldn't be scared of it. Do you understand? When we talk about the most successful people all the time.
Yeah.
And when you take in their story, I like the story of Mike Adenuga a lot. He will tell you the number of times that he was near failure, where he wanted to give up. Talk about corn oil, is oil exploration, where they spent billions of dollars exploring, at the verge of giving up, the last moment, where he wants to call it quits and now begin to strategize on how to pay debts, the loans they incurred, in that oil exploration. At that 11th hour, they struck gold, they struck oil, and today that's the success story. So when you listen to Dangote, right, go to Tony Elumelu, mention them. The successful people you have in Nigeria, for example, let's not go beyond our shores. They will all tell you that at one point or the other, they failed, right? So it shouldn't be an option for you. You shouldn't be scared of it. A lot of them, at one point or the other, a lot of the successful people, the successful, wealthy people that we want to emulate, either in business as entrepreneurs, they failed at one time or the other. When you read their story, you will know that, yes, you have to embrace failure as a stepping stone to success, not as a point of stagnancy or for you to remain at that very spot. No. What counts is that at the end of the day, when you look back, you will see at that very spot where you failed. And you know that where you fail, you can't fall again.
Yes.
When you're crossing a gutter, for example, and mistakenly, you slip and fall, you will never fall at that same spot again.
Yes.
So you master that very place. No matter the terrain, the dangers, when you conquer that very first approach, that fear, then you see yourself excelling. You can only be able to tell people that at so and so point in life that I was near bankruptcy, that there's a moment when there was nothing left. I failed in this. But when people see the success that you've become, it becomes difficult for them to take that in. So the point this morning is, everyone need to hear this. We need to start from where we are. Even students, you know, what I don't know what it is that is being your challenge as a student, but this time to confront it. And until you confront it, until you stare it in the face and speak to it, you can and you will overcome. You will become a success story. So if you wait for the finest moments, it will never come. And like you did say, it's time to start with that very plan that you have about it. This is the right hour. This is the right moment. Start from where you are. That plan may not be perfect, but I tell you, when you take the first action, one thing is certain, clarity will set in.
That's
and
true.
With clarity, you can.
You know what you're marching for. You know what is ahead of you because you've started already.
Yes, but if you remain where you are, you know, lying down, waiting for the right moment, today is sunny, I can't go out, tomorrow will be hazy. And if it's not raining today, then sun will come out tomorrow. So there will never be a perfect time. What you do is take advantage. In the rain, in the sun, take advantage. And that's the only way you become successful. There are a lot of stories. There are a lot of stories to be told. There are men who have been successful because they did take a chance. They started. They did away with procrastination. And today, they are the stories that we read. They are worthy of emulation. They are people who want to be like. And other people can be like us if we take that chance today, if we take a step. And like we always say, 365 days, and today is the eighth day in it. There's still time. You still have time. Take that step. Yes, take that decision. Make that approach. Make that investment. Yes, don't stay at the spot where you are. Don't let 2026 meet you at the same spot. That will be the greatest of all failure.
Thank you very much for that. Just like Alan Cohen's quote is saying, do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. So beginning makes the condition perfect. Now you should create a perfect condition for yourself by taking that bold step. And while you're doing so, please also keep in mind that Eat New Sunrise is an opportunity or a platform where we grow and where we try something new or learn something different every day. So please let us know what this quote means to you. You can drop your thoughts on our social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all at ANEKE TV, or you can call our phone number 070-3043-7110. And up next is our weather report.
Yes, we'll take a look at the weather reports across major cities in the southeast today.
Yes, and we'll be starting off with Oka. Good morning, Oka. You're starting the day with cloudy skies and warm vibes. Expect mostly cloudy conditions through the morning into the afternoon, with temperatures climbing from comfy in the early hours to around 30 to 33 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, which is perfect weather for that slow traffic jam commute, with plenty of sunny intervals later on. The high UV levels mean sunglasses and sunscreen are still your best friends today.
Good morning, Diko City. Welcome to Enugu. Today is looking warmer and brighter by midday. Starting off mostly cloudy, but as the sun rises, partly sunny skies take over with temperatures cruising up towards mid-30s degrees centigrade. A great day if you're headed outdoors. Just keep hydrated.
And in Abakaliki, hello Abakaliki, your forecast is leaning sunny and hot. Early cloud cover gives way to sunny intervals and warm temperatures pushing into the mid-30 degrees Celsius. Light rain could pop up later for a brief cool down, but mostly it's sun-filled day, which is great for market runs or for hitting the road early before the heat peaks.
And good morning, Imo State. Welcome to Owerri. Good morning. You are in for a cloudy but toasty day. Expect overcast skies dominating most of the daylight hours with highs around low 30 degrees Celsius. Perfect weather for indoor errands or chilling under a tree with a cool drink.
And lastly, in Umahia starts is a nice mix of cloud and sunshine. Through the morning, expect intermittent clouds with temperatures rising to the low 30 degrees Celsius by midday. Afternoon stays warm with mostly cloudy skies, so you're covered whether you're heading to work or tending the garden.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, stay cool, dress light, but you may keep your umbrella handy, but do remember that either rain or shine, we've got you covered. And this is your weather report here on Sunrise on ANEKE TV. We'll go on a short break and we'll return with more updates.
Hey, asi na ekwekwo amagba. Ekwu ụmụ nwaanyị akụọla o. Ọkwa na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị. Oge anyị ji akpa maka ọdịmma anyị karịkwa maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ. Nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị bụ ebe anyị na-akpa maka rike anyị, ndọrọ ndọrọ ọchịchị, azụmahịa, omenala ndị ahụ dị mma, nakwa ihe ndị ahụ ga-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Naanị ihe ị ga-eme bụ sonyela anyị na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị ebe ahụ a na-akarị ihe na-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Ndị nne, ndị nna, oge a bụkwa nke anyị. Sonyela anyị na ANEKE TV n'ebe a na-emetụ aka n'ihe ndị oyibo na-akpọ social media na TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Ọkwa na ANEKE TV ka ihe ndị a niile na-eme. ANEKE TV, anyị apụọnụ.
Phones has become part of everyday life, from work and school to businesses and socializing. But what if you had to go a whole week without yours? We hit the streets to find out what Nigerians think.
No, I can't even stay 2 minutes without my phone. If you remove God, now my phone. At times, if I plug my phone inside my parlor and then inside my room, once my phone is ringing, because my phone is always on silent, it will be touching me. The once I come out, I see somebody is calling me.
How can I stay without my phone? Like, it keeps me busy and all that. I stay alone, so there's no way I can just be staying without pressing my phone or anything.
No, because I will die. I might die. I will fall sick. Like, a lot of things. I lost a lot of money.
No, I can't. I can't. It's like my phone is like my best friend. Like, I'm like, I can't. I just can't stay without my phone.
Nga ya nọ na ekwentị m ihe ha ka otu izu ma izu abụọ, maka na ọ bụrụ na m eji ekwentị m ma ọ na ekwentị m na o furu ma ọ bụ na o nwere ebe nchefuru ekwentị m n'otu izu ụka, ọ ga-adị ka a ga-asị na nnukwu ihe hunahara m, maka na ekwentị apụtago nke mere na oge m na-agụ sekọndịrị, ọ leta ka eji akwụkwọ ozi ka a na-akpọ leta. Ịchọ ka gị na nwanne gị ma ịchọ ka gị na mmadụ kpakọọ, iwere akwụkwọ ozi wee zigara onye ahụ. Mana ugbu a enwezi ihe dị ka akwụkwọ ozi nke a na-akpọ leta. Ya nwa kpataziri ekwentị pụta nke a kpọrọ foonu, mezie onye ọbụla foonu ya dafuru ma ọ bụ foonu ya hunara ya, ọ dị ka a ga-asị na mmadụ nwụnahara ya, maka na ịchọ ịjụta ese onye nke gị, ọ bụ ekwentị a ka ị ga-eji jụta ese. Ọ bụkwanụ na ekwentị ahụ adịghị, ọ na-enye nsogbu. N'ihi ya, ọ bụrụ na ekwentị bụ ndụ m, mana ekwentị na-enye aka na ndụ anyị na-ebi kịta.
No, because it's most importantly to me, because I use it for my assignments, projects, and for reading. It helps me a lot.
From students to business owners, opinions varies. Some say it is impossible, while others say it is a challenge worth trying. One thing is clear: phones are more than just gadgets. They are essential tools for daily life. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, ANEKE.
To Sunrise on ANEKE TV. Now we'll be taking a look at our stock market update today.
Yes, let's go to the stock market right now and know what happened in the market yesterday. Wednesday, January 7, 2026. The Nigerian stock market maintained its bullish streak for the third consecutive session of the year. The benchmark all-share index rose by 0.40%, approximately 640.68 points, to close at 160,591.76. The performance pushed the total market capitalization to a new height of 102.68 trillion, largely driven by strong buying interest in the oil and gas and agricultural sector. Let's take a look at the top 5 gainers. High-priced stocks like Seplant and Okomu led the rally, with several tickers hitting the maximum daily limit of 10%. Seplant Energy, as of yesterday, closed its books at 6,171 naira to make a positive adjustment of 10%. They are followed by Okomu Oil, which closed its book yesterday at 1,204 naira 50 kobo, making a plus 10% positive adjustment. Next is Union Dye Consult, which closed at 8 naira 80 kobo, making a plus 10% adjustment. And we have NCR Nigeria, which closed its books yesterday at 79 naira 95 kobo, making a plus 9.97% positive adjustment. They are followed by McNicholas PLC, which closed trading yesterday at 4 naira 76 kobo, making a plus 9.93% positive adjustment. And next, we'll take a look at the top 5 losers. Despite the overall market gain, profit taking was evident in some consumer goods and industrial stocks. And this is shown by Cabre Nigeria, which closed its books yesterday at 63 naira, making a minus 10 negative adjustment. Taking us to Austin Lars and Company, which closed its trading yesterday at 5 naira 8 kobo, making a minus 9.93% negative adjustment. Aluminium extrusion company known as Ales closed trading yesterday at 19 naira 55 kobo, making a minus 9.91 negative adjustment. Taking us simply to McCall yesterday closed its trading at 4 naira 21 kobo, making a minus 9.85 negative adjustment as well. We have FTN Coca Processors closing trading yesterday at 6 naira 1 kobo, making equally a minus 9.62 negative adjustment. The market sentiment remains slightly positive, though closely balanced with 35 gainers against 38 losers. Trading activity yesterday saw over 647 million shares exchanging hands, valued at roughly 19.8 billion naira. As of yesterday, in the parallel market, naira also shows strength, reaching a record high of 1,418.26 kobo against the US dollar on the same day. And this is very, very good performance as per naira at the parallel market yesterday. But do remember that if you want to make any financial investment due to the volatility of the market, do well to consult a financial advisor before making any such investment. And that's it for the stock market update today. Up next, we'll take a little break and go into sports.
Happy New Year in Nigeria. We hit the streets to hear from everyday Nigerians about their hopes and wishes for the country in 2026.
For this new year, I think the most serious thing that is affecting the masses are the prices of goods and services, transportation, all those things. So if the government can look into that and see how we can make it come down so that the masses can actually be able to have enough for themselves and their families, especially in this new tax law, then it would make life a whole lot better this 2026.
The most important is peace. Peace in this country. Peace is most important because without peace, nothing will move. Like if you go to the north, you see there's no peace there. Everybody's running helter-skelter. There's terrorists, banditry everywhere. So they don't have peace there. So number one thing I wish for this country is peace. In this thing, what I want our country to put their mind into, one, they are politicians. We have bad politicians. They are human disaster. So we should put our mind in our politicians. They are not representing us well. They are only representing their pockets. They should consider people they are ruling first, not their own pockets and their family. But once they consider the citizens, then there's a lot of things they have to provide for us, especially the health aspect of it, healthcare centers. When you go to a hospital, they don't have equipment, they don't have drugs. But when themselves they are sick, they fly themselves out of this country to treat themselves, leaving we the citizens, the poor one, to die here.
My wish for Nigeria this year, 2026, is that God will keep us to see this year and the years ahead. And also, as we are preparing for election 2027, that God will help us to choose for himself, to choose a leader, the person who will take us to the highest level, the person who will, a president who will help us to rebuild and make this Nigeria a comfortable place for us. Last year, 2025, we are happy for if you go to market, you can see that there is food and the cooking utensils, everything. The fuel price, the prices of food is less, but there is no money. At least they should help us to increase salaries, so that at least when they pay you salary, you can see something to buy in market. But the little amount that the government pays, it's just like a tip. When you enter market, buy one or two things, you will not see anything. So in fact, one of the achievements, they should help increase salary so that people can go to market and buy something and still have something on their pockets.
Economy is very bad for us here. So I wish Nigerian economy to be far more better for even the young ones. So for all of us too. The government, they should look more on, like, let's just say, emphasize more on the economy, because without the economy being bad, it will affect us. Like, we need to make the economy to be good, to be very good, to be like us now. Let's just say I'm one of the poor masses. Let's just say I'm one of the poor masses. You know, I'm trying to survive. If the economy is good, I will not be trying that much to survive. It will be much easier for me. So I'm hoping to the economy to be much more better.
What I wish for the country is security, because the rate at which people are dying is alarming. And as it looks right now, nobody is safe. Right? It might be happening somewhere in the north. That does not mean that it will not go to the east or it will get to the south. So the earlier we stop it, the better for everyone. Because, well, I don't think everybody can save themselves. So the government have to step in and help the country.
I wish that we have a country where the voice of the common man is heard, and less corruption. You cannot say free corruption, like you cannot say zero corruption, but just less corruption.
I wish them a free terrorist year. That is my wish for Nigerians, and a good leader, just to count out it to a good leader. Because by a good leader, it will define the governing style of the country. So that is what I wish for Nigerians.
There you have it. Heartfelt wishes from Nigerians across the nation. Here is to a brighter, stronger, and more united Nigeria in 2026. I am Sharon Uche, ANEKE TV.
As Nigeria enters 2026, the nation faces a pivotal year, balancing promise with responsibility. Economic analysts project steady growth and structural transformation, but the success of this year will depend on effective reforms, innovation, and citizen engagement. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, forecast a gross domestic product (GDP) growth of 4.5%, with inflation expected to ease into the low teens. Independent institutions, including the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, highlight a rebound in domestic demand and renewed investor confidence. Major drivers of growth include the near completion of the Ajokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline, expected to boost industrial activity, create jobs, and expand energy access in northern states. Ongoing tax and financial sector reforms also aim to strengthen public revenue and attract investment. Despite positive forecasts, Nigeria faces persistent hurdles. Rising inflation, especially on food and essential goods, continues to affect households. Security concerns in some regions disrupt communities and economic activity, while fiscal pressures require careful management to ensure sustainable growth. Growing sectors such as technology, creative industries, and service offer opportunities for job creation and innovation. Experts recommend improving agricultural supply chains, storage, and access to credit and technology for farmers. Transparent public spending, aligned with long-term development priorities, is essential. Supporting small and medium enterprises, SMEs, tech startups, and creative industries with funding and skills development can generate jobs, while expanding access to credit and fintech solutions will empower youth and women entrepreneurs. Strengthening community security is also crucial to protect farms, markets, and trade corridors. Experts stress that 2026 is a year for action, accountability, and inclusive growth. Governments must prioritize implementation and transparency in reforms. The private sector should invest in innovation and industrial growth, and citizens are encouraged to develop skills, embrace entrepreneurship, and actively contribute to community development. With practical reforms, investment in human capital, and collective effort, 2026 can be a year of resilience, hope, and national development. Nigeria's future will depend not only on policies but on the commitment and actions of every Nigerian. Sunrise on ANEKE TV. Now we're taking a look at the major stories making the newspaper today from The Nation, Punch, Vanguard, and The Guardian newspaper.
And joining us this morning to give flesh to these stories is Emeka Odom, a veteran journalist, a development communication expert, and a public affairs analyst. Sir Emeka, it's a pleasure to have you on Sunrise this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our viewers. I'm just Mr. Emeka.
Okay. Mr. Emeka will do.
All right, now moving over to our headlines, starting from The Nation headline that says, tax laws effect on workers, Oshimole Ajero differs. And on the Punch paper, the headline there says, tax laws, 5 trillion naira VAT windfall for states as new formula begins. And on the Vanguard paper, the major headline there says 2027 PDP faction to hold talks with Obi Atiku. And then in the Guardian paper says 19 months after, governors explore gaps in the constitution, resist local government autonomy. And we'll be starting today's paper from the Punch newspaper, that headline that says 5 trillion tax laws, 5 trillion naira VAT windfall for state as new formula begins. Now, state governments are set for a major financial boost as a new VAT sharing formula kicks in. According to reports, states could collectively receive over 5 trillion naira in VAT revenue under the revised system, which gives more weight to derivation and consumption. Supporters say this will empower states to fund infrastructure, healthcare, and education. However, critics warn that without accountability, the extra funds may not translate into real development for citizens.
All right. We're looking issues around the new VAT regime that has, is being implemented and is empowering states and local governments as they will be collecting more through the VAT as compared to 2025, where the federal government had about 15% from the VAT collection, but the new regime wills 55% to the state government and 35% to the local government. Amidst this sharing formula is what we call a windfall. But I want to ask this morning, as against the issue of local government autonomy, what's your view around this issue? Are we going to witness development at the grassroots? Are we going to see developments in infrastructure, impacts on healthcare, impact on education? What does this really mean?
Yeah, thank you so much. And your guess is as good as mine. That is the worry that most people, are expressing. Yes, there's nothing. The reforms are good. Nigeria is a federation, and when you come to a federation, there are federating units. And going further down also, beyond the subnationals, you have the local government system. The essence of all of these creations is to bring development, down to the grassroots. But unfortunately, you'll agree with me that we have not been seeing much of that. Perhaps apart from probably the First Republic, where we saw, some level of autonomy within the regions and the federation, and also to the local government area level. In fact, a lot of the things we are seeing now probably were initiated then, and so that is the worry. Having these federating units, more money, get more money from the federal government, is not the issue. The issue is how well are these monies being utilized. Apart from 1 or 2 states in Nigeria today, you will probably go around and find out that it's the same case, year in, year out. Many of the major roads that are being taken care of still remains federal government roads, and many of the major infrastructures still remains federal government. For instance, look at the issue of power. One would have expected, that in the last 2 years or thereabouts, that subsidy was removed, and the states are collecting more from the federation account. One would have expected that at least the states would have ventured into electricity and probably take away a lot of the burden from the federal government. But it doesn't appear as if we are getting a better deal. So all of this money now, what guarantee do we have? Because the local government area system in Nigeria is as good as being in comatose. When I was growing up, as a little boy then, there were a lot of projects, a lot of infrastructures that were put in place or managed by the local government area system. Today, if you even go to some of the local government area headquarters, they don't have enough buildings to even decent buildings and facilities to accommodate their own staff in a very comfortable and conducive environment. Then how much would they do? A lot of roads, rural roads, can be undertaken by the federal by the local government area. So but these things are not happening. So it's not about pushing more money. And by the way, look at what one of the papers is saying there. I think it's saying there that 19 months after the Supreme Court, when this government came into power, one of the first actions they took was to approach the Supreme Court to make a pronunciation on the issue of local government autonomy, and everybody held that approach. And expectedly, the Supreme Court made pronouncements that seemed to go well with the people. We all celebrated. But today, how many of the local government, we are still hearing stories of local government areas not getting the right autonomy? So that is the worry. It's not about more money, and that is also the reason why the subsidy, people are kicked against the removal of subsidy. It's not really because removal of subsidy is a bad thing on its own if done in the right atmosphere, in the right circumstance, and the right approach, and the right timing. Subsidy may not be entirely a very bad idea, but the extra money that is gotten from the subsidy, we are told that states are getting more money. Yes, the states are getting more money. Apart from 1 or 2 other states, can we really say that the people are feeling, the benefit or getting the dividends of this more money that's coming to the states? That is the issue.
Okay, I may want to ask, given that the framers of the Nigerian Constitution saw it wise to, have constituent or sharing powers, between the federation, in between the federal government, the state, and the local government. And what we're witnessing is a situation where it's as if the local governments are dominated by the states. And as against that background, I want to ask, where did we really get it wrong? Is it in the framing of the constitution that created the local government? Or is it that the Nigerian people really, let's speak to the leadership in Nigeria, are the people who are getting it all wrong?
For me, I think, to a reasonable extent, yes. If you look at, I don't know the exact part of that the constitution where, but the point, if you look at the relevant laws that, talks about local government administration, you find out also that that's what we call joint revenue accounts. Now, the joint account, the states and the local government. So when this money is released from the federal government, even though there's a certain portion there is meant for the local government, but it comes through the states, right? The local government areas don't join in the revenue allocation formula. At the meeting in Abuja, the local government area representatives don't join. It is the states, I think the Commissioner of Finance, that goes on behalf of the states. But the money is getting, the share of the local government area is in that money because it comes through only one account. And that is now where the challenge is. When the money gets into the state account, under normal circumstances, the state is meant to, remit the one that belongs to the local government area right away without any delay. But that is not happening. And the states themselves are not asking, because many of them, you know, they have very, very, what I may call, you know, unhealthy loyalty to the state authorities. Unhealthy loyalty in the sense that, of course, you know how a lot of the local government area chairmen came to office, even though we can say yes, there was something that looked like an election. But you know,
something that looked like an election.
Yes, something that looked like an election.
Why does it look like an election?
No,
There was an election.
You see, because we all understand election to be, you know, when you want to do an election, there has to be some degree of independence on the part of the organizing body. In this case, now the State Independent Electoral Commissions. In many of the states, they can, even though they are called SEC, State Independent Electoral Commission, are they really independent? They should answer that question. Are they really independent? That's number one. Number two, yes, this is politics. The government may be interested in who becomes which local government area chairman in which state, but that interest is how far you drive that interest becomes a case of, becomes a case, a situation where in a particular, the party ruling at the state level is usually the one that has makes a clean sweep. You know, in an election where there's you know more plural system of party structure. So it's how do you define that? Now, when this local government area chairman get into office, they don't have the guts to even ask the state authorities for their, it's whatever the governor, whatever gets to them is what they take. Apart from one or two states where the governor can say we are not owing local government areas allocation, we have the local government, but in reality, a lot of them are still complaining. So these are the issues, and when they are not getting the money that they ought to, you know, work with, a lot of the projects are stalled. Now that is on one angle. Then the second angle is that even the local government areas themselves, what is the level of prudence? What is the level of transparency? And what is the level of accountability that exists at that level? That is the issue. So I think that there has to be an overhaul of the system. You know, a situation where if for any reason the local government area monies will have to be given to them directly from CBN, if that is going to save, if that's going to be better, let's do it that way. You know, and when these monies are given to them, we hold them accountable. The local government area chairman will now come, his budget will be in the public domain, and from time to time he will render account, and the local government area parliament, the councillors will be able to hold him accountable to say, look, what have you done? And the people will also do something. I mean, what we have now is a situation where, you know, a lot of things are not clear. A lot of things are shrouded in mystery, and even the people themselves are, well, do we say the people are even tired? Because sometimes we ask these questions and you don't get any answer. Instead, it fetches you, you know, trouble, and who want to continue to, you know, be seen as a troublemaker, because it's really a problem, and that is why, and that also takes us down to even the taxing system, because VAT is a tax. Now, many people have come to say, look, Nigerians don't pay tax. That has been that argument is there. Nigerians don't pay tax. The question is, does tax just drop from the sky? You don't wake up overnight and you say there's tax. Tax is a dividend that the government should, you know, make from an investment in the people. You see, because let me give you a typical example. VAT is the tax we pay from goods, from the purchase of goods and services. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Good. Now, the people must first of all have a purchasing power. If I want to buy a laptop now, because a laptop with the new law, laptop doesn't fall under essential goods and services. If I want to buy a laptop and this other person wants to buy probably or maybe you want to enjoy services in a in a 3-star hotel or so. Good. Now, both the service and the product are taxable as long as VAT is concerned. But before you can tax that purchase I make, I must have the purchasing power. If I don't have the money, either because I don't have a job or there's no business. If I'm a businessman for quite some time now, business is on the low side. I'm just struggling to even survive and to keep my family going. And so that luxury, that laptop becomes an extra luxury for me, which I'll just brush it aside. Now, the tax that is derivable by the government, if the man who sells that laptop is gone, they won't make it. And that is why, again, also I give you another example. If you, and a lot of times they say this about Nigeria, that Nigeria has a huge working population. Yes, that is correct. If we are 90 million, for instance, in this country, and for instance 45 million people are within the working age, that is the labor force, right?
Yes.
But the question now to ask is, you don't calculate your tax. You don't calculate your tax based on that 45 million people. The question to ask is, out of these 45 million people, how many of them are gainfully employed to be able to pay you tax? Either privately employed or employed by the public service, or people in self-employed. That is the question to ask. But you see, if you invest in the people, empower the people, many of them, a good percentage of that 45 million people will be employed by private hands. A good percentage of them will be employed by the public service. Another good percentage of them will go into self-business, right? And become self-employed. Then they will be able to do what? They'll be able to pay their tax. And government will make more money. Not only from tax on goods and services, tax in various other aspects. And that is the only way. So until that is done, you don't begin to tax people who are barely surviving, who are barely struggling to survive. It becomes hardship for them. It becomes oppression.
Well, that's quite interesting, but I want to take you back a bit. We're looking at beyond the taxes. When this revenue, speaking to VAT, is being shared, is between the states, the local government, and I want to take you back to the issue around autonomy, because a number of times when we speak about the grassroots, the local government, will tie it to their inability to perform due to the autonomy that they don't really enjoy. But we've seen a Supreme Court ruling that empowers the local government, and here we're seeing Mr. President sort of begging the state governments to let the local government chairman or the local government have a full autonomy. But this coming from a federal government that was able to seize the local government allocations of Osun State, for example. And why are we seeing them sort of cap in hand, unable to implement this Supreme Court ruling that empowers the local governments in this regard?
You remember also that this is a political, we are running a political system. The president himself, I'm sure, he doesn't want to be at loggerheads with the governors. We are in a season where nobody wants to incur the wrath of another person. Yes, he's the president. He's the most powerful man in the land. He's occupying the most powerful position. But he will need these governors in many other aspects as well. And so he wouldn't, probably in my thinking, he wouldn't want to, bully the governors in that regard. And remember, one of the papers is saying this morning that the governors, after 19 months after, they are exploring a loophole in the law. The governors themselves, they also have attorney generals, and who also advise them. So they will look at the law and see how they can, if there's any space through which they can still, continue on the old trajectory. That becomes the case. But what is most important then, we always say something. The Supreme Court has spoken, right?
Yes.
But it's not every issue in life that you resolve through the law. We must not lose track of that. And for me, though some people have looked at that law about local military administration and the relationship between local military and the states to say that, look, yes, the Supreme Court has spoken, but there are a lot of things that are not clear here, and because these things are not clear, we may see, Nigeria is still moving along the same line, and that seems to be happening. So I don't think the president wants to, begin to now seize all the allocation of all the states, because they are not. If he does that, we may see a collusion between him and the states. And this is a president who probably will want to have who obviously may want to have a second term in office. And he will need these governors to work alongside him to be able to realize that ambition. So that is the checks and balances, that's the political checks and balances that are there. And the governors are aware of all of these things. They are very much aware. So and that is why many times you find where it is said, okay, you give me this and I give you this.
All right. So
it's a normal thing in politics, and we see it happening.
It's more of a matter of political correctness.
Yes, of course.
Then the vicious circle continues.
Yes, because that would be the opportunity cost anyway. That would be the alternative for them.
All right.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now moving over to our next paper coming from the Vanguard, and the headline that says PDP function to hold talks with Obi Atiku. As the 2027 election draws closer, a faction within the PDP is preparing strategic talks with Peter Obi and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. The move signals early alliance building aimed at unseating the ruling party. Insiders say discussions may focus on forming a broad opposition coalition to avoid vote splitting.
All right, we're looking at 2027, and here's 2026. The politicking obviously has started. And looking at Obi Atiku, these are members of the coalition, and it's as if the coalition is getting stronger by the day. But one may want to ask, when we hear of the PDP, the question is which of the PDPs are we speaking to? But Mr. Eldon, looking at this headline, what do you make of this whole issue?
Yeah, there's nothing that is abnormal here. Everything here is normal because, in politics is about jojo. Politics is about lobbying. Politics is about, conversations, dialogue, meetings, and, agreements, and disagreements to ultimately agree. Now, this is the right period for it because the parties are, with the new electoral law, between now and August, latest August, the parties would have, with the 2022 electoral law, well, it's no longer new because it has already produced, it has already gone through an election cycle. So with the 2022 electoral law, latest August, all the parties would have produced their candidates, are going to stand in 2027 general elections. Remember also that I think there are still talks whether the elections will be brought closer or so. So these are the normal things. Now, if you look at Nigerian politics, it's full of all calculations, just like it is elsewhere. Politics is about calculations. If this man takes this, what will be remaining? Who will take A? And that's why political philosophers say politics is all about who gets what and how he gets it. That's a typical example of what is playing out now. And for me, it is much better because these are the things you expect politicians to do. So that at the end of the day, they will agree. Talking about PDP faction, yes, of course, you don't need anybody to tell you that obviously it cannot be the Nyesomike faction. It cannot be the Anyanwu faction. However, that is only in name. But in personalities, you may see some of these people crisscrossing in the dark. That's why a lot of these meetings take place in the dark. So you may see this man wearing green in the daytime. At night, when the white people are holding the meeting, you may see him wearing the white, and so that is why some people will tell you that sometimes when politicians tell you something, don't just completely take it to heart. It could change. One of the politicians said a promise is like a political promise is like a wind. It changes direction, with geography. So that is the way it is. If you ask me, the paper didn't tell us exactly why they are holding the meetings, but we can guess. Obi and Atiku, seems to be the two biggest political opposition figures we have in Nigeria right now. And I am one of the people who believe very strongly that for the opposition to make a formidable, show in the 2027 general elections, and for the opposition to make a meaningful challenge, put up a meaningful challenge to the ruling APC, there has to be some form of coalition. Each of them going in separately, and that is why, for me, I'm happy that Obi moved into the ADC. That will now enable them, both the ADC, that will now enable these two characters to come under one umbrella. So it is expected, and it is a prayer that if they contest the presidential nominations, whoever wins, the other ones will stay put with their supporters. Let their votes come under one party umbrella. A situation where they split their votes, like it happened in 2023, may not go well. I'm a supporter of liberal democracy. I want a situation where we have alternatives. You see, because if you don't have alternatives in democracy, the whole essence of democracy is gone. We cannot run a democracy where elections will come, we are left with only just one choice. For me, that is not it. Offer me an array of choices. Let's look at all the candidates. Make our choice. If I choose candidate A, you choose candidate B, and at the end of the day, your candidate wins on my own wins, we say, oh, but I told you, I made a better choice. Next election, you have another opportunity to get it right. So that is the whole essence of democracy. And in that kind of situation, it offers you and I the opportunity to, make our choice freely without intimidation, air our opinions freely without intimidation. These are the real ingredients and the real dividends of democracy, not bridge, not infrastructure. Any government can build bridge, any government can build infrastructure, but this basic crucibles upon which democracy is built, that is actually the real dividend of democracy. So let them talk more and more. I want their talk to center on, look, there's nothing wrong also in one person stepping down for another. I mean, it's normal, it happens in democracy also. But if eventually they are not able to get that done, let them all go and test their popularity at the nomination ground, because that's why it's called nominations. If you look at the current government now, on the nomination ground, I think they were almost about 18 in number that contested the election. Though at some point in time, some people dropped, but ultimately more than 6 of them went to the polls. More than 6 of them contested, and the current president, Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu contested, Rotimi Amechi contested, the former vice president Oshibajo contested, Obonoyono contested, Dave Umahi contested, Chris Ngige contested, Chukwemeka Juba contested, and 1 or 2 other people. So they were far more than 6, that contested. And at the end of the day, a winner emerged, and all other people now rallied down. And so that is what we expect ADC to also do. If they cannot get people to step down for the other person, when they contest, whoever emerges, let the other people rally, like APC did in 2015. In 2015, Muhammadu Buhari contested, Atiku Abubakar contested, Kwankwaso contested, Rochas Okorocha contested, and I think there was one other person also contested. But at the end of the day, when Muhammadu Buhari won, all of them came on. So that is the way to go about it. What we had in 2023, where Obi got 6 million votes, Atiku Abubakar got 6 point something million votes. Those votes put together would have been 12 million.
Sure.
Good. So let them talk.
All right. But against the background of the Nigerian politics, where we see party primaries is mostly dominated with money, where you see cash and carry, politics for nomination, and the likes of former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, you would usually say in the Nigerian palace, I know they give shishi, and a lot of his supporters, called the obedience, have equally openly said that their votes are not transferable. Would you, against that background, encourage Obi to go into primaries in ADC with the likes of Atiku Abubakar, who have really, apart from few stitches in the APC where just a single occasion in APC where he lost a primary, has never lost primaries.
No, you see, we must also be very realistic, because emotions don't win elections.
Okay.
I've had the little privilege of contesting an election in the university, as you know, at the student union level, and I won some and I also lost some. Well, I lost only one, and I won the rest of the elections I contested. Now the point is, elections don't win elections. I mean, emotions don't win elections. I see the obedience. Yes, I respect them. I respect the obedience for their their energy, their choice they have made, and the passion that they are attaching to their destiny. But they must understand that only obedience cannot guarantee will be a presidential. In the very first place, to even begin with, how many obedience are going to become delegates at the party primaries? How many obedience are going to be? Yes, obedience may vote in the general election itself, and it's not even every obedient that is a card carrying member of that has a PVC. That is number one. Number two, for Obi, the Nations Cup is going on now, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And we all want Nigeria to win and bring the cup.
Yes.
Is that not correct?
Sure.
For Nigeria to win and bring the cup home, you must find yourself face to face with the strong teams. Your ability to beat them will confirm, the true state of your championship. You cannot be a champion if you cannot build the masters. So, Obi himself, in 2023, he didn't quite face any challenge in the nomination. Where he probably could have faced a challenge was in PDP, but he left PDP ahead of time to go to the Labour Party, where he didn't meet any challenge in picking the ticket. Now he's going to ADC. If he has to face nomination, let him face it. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu faced a very serious opposition in APC, and when he emerged, that also taught him a lesson.
Okay.
Let him face nomination in ADC. You see, because election in two types. That's what we call a direct election and indirect election. The primary election is an indirect election. Let them play the politics. Those who are going to vote at the primaries, they are human beings. They are delegates in the various states. Let them play the politics. Politics across the Niger, politics in the desert, politics in the Sahara. Let him go to north and talk to the delegates there. Let him go to Bauchi, go to Jigawa, go to the state. Yes, Omike came here when in 2023, prior to the 2023 general elections, when before the primaries. I remember Yes Omike went to Anambra State and spoke to PDP delegates, and that was why he made statements castigating Obi before in his own hometown. And at the end of the day, those same PDP people voted for him at the primaries because he came second behind Atiku Abubakar. So let Obi let him also go to Adamawa and speak to ADC candidates there and tell them the reason why they should vote for him in the primaries and not Atiku Abubakar. So we can't just continue to sit down and say everything must come on a platter of gold all the time. No, I'm not saying Obi is wishing to get PDP ticket. I mean ADC ticket on a platter of gold. Yes. But there are some battles that will have to be fought, right?
Yes.
So if they are able to get Atiku, because getting Atiku to step down for him is also a battle on its own. So if they're able to get it through that way, fine. And if Atiku says no, like Atiku is saying that everybody will have to go to the nomination ground, let him go and square it up with him on the nomination ground. That's part of politics. And if his ambition is shut down, for me, let him remain there.
All right. One more thing, against the background that we've seen respected Nigerians, mostly of Igbo extraction, such as Modo, say that P2B is the surest best bet for ADC, going into the election in 2027. But I want to ask, what does Obi's candidacy mean for the Igbos going into 2027 election? Bearing in mind that most governors from eastern Nigeria are now aligning with the Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led APC with the mantra that Igbo land, eastern Nigeria, is being aligned with the center, that we do not need to be in opposition.
Yeah, thank you for this question. You see, how I wish, I look forward to it. I know it may not be easy, but how I wish it would have been easier to have these governors you're talking about now, in a town hall, sit down as our leaders, and those of us who have the opportunity, either as journalists or as media people, interact with them, and we ask them some basic questions. Because number one, I've always believed that our leaders are playing politics without, well, how do I want to put it in the most modest form now. I believe that our leaders are making concession without bringing anything in return. Something that is commensurate with what they are giving away. And when I talk about commensurate with what they are giving, I'm not talking of federal government coming to build road here. Oh, the government has agreed to come and build road here. The government has agreed to come and give us another bridge. The government has agreed to come and give us one site when you invest here. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Oh, the government has agreed to give us another position. That's not what I'm saying. See, sometimes I wonder, these our leaders, are they really thinking in this direction? Number one, Nigeria came into democracy in 1999, right?
Sure.
Since 1999, power understandably rotates between the north and the south. Now, this is the third time power is coming to the south. There are three geopolitical zones in the south. First, power was with the southwest, right? For 8 years. It went back to the north. Based on circumstances, it returned to the south. And in returning to the south, it went automatically to the south. Well, maybe not automatic, because there was an election in 2011. But power went to the south. Now, when power went to the south, what that meant was that two geopolitical zones out of the three in the south have had a shot at the presidency. Now, when opportunity came again in 2023, the natural thinking would have been that for sake of equity, that the third geopolitical zone in the south. You see, the reason why I'm saying this is because world over, one of the principles that is sustaining democracy now is the principle of inclusion. One of the things that are sustaining democracy now, world over, is the principle of inclusion, carrying everybody along. Even those who are of minority numbers, even minority groups, they are making provision for them. Because those people you say they are minority group, they could be the clog in the wheel of progress. They could be the pen in the neck. So you carry everybody along. But unfortunately for us here in the south, when power came back in 2023, it went back to the southwest, leaving out a major group. This was a point that Ubonne of blessed memory was trying to make on the nomination ground on the APC campaign, on the APC convention ground at Ego Square that night. That is the point he was trying to make. That for the sake of equity, fairness, and justice. Now, assuming that probably just passed, 2027 has presented itself again. Our leaders in the southeast, who are busy telling us that we have to support the current president, have they bothered to ask, okay, if we support you, what is India for us? What are they getting in return? Building of bridges? Building of roads? Political appointments? Is that what they are getting in turn? Even at the time that everybody in Nigeria agreed that, look, it is the time for the Southeast, for Nigeria to produce a president of Southeast extraction. Our people here are saying we need to align with the center. Now, if we align with the center, what happens to? That means, because that same center you are talking about, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu finishes his tenure, assuming he gets the second chance in 2027, that takes us to 2031. By 2031, it is only reasonable that the power returns to the north. Nobody would argue that if you raise any issue that and the power should remain in the south here, you are causing trouble. Power goes to the north for another 8 years. That means what you're saying is that before Nigeria will have the opportunity of having a president of Southeast extraction will be in 2039, when all of the generation of politicians that are here now would have been old enough. I mean, would have been gotten so old that they may not have the opportunity to come back and contest election. And by the way, let me even tell you, if we can't get it right now, if we can bring something to the negotiation table now to say, okay, for this support we are giving you, what are we discussing? What are we getting? If we can't do it now, what is the guarantee that in 2039 they will not snatch it away again from the southeast? Because if they can do it now, why won't they do it then? And you know, sometimes I ask myself, say, look, you see, do we really realize that we sometimes this is how the other people, across the Niger, people other places see us as? Or what exactly are we pursuing? Personal ambition? Okay, since I can't be it, you too, you can't be it. Is that the case? Because I don't see the reason why somebody will come now to say, let's support at the center. If we support at the center now, what happens in 2031? Power goes to the north. And Nigeria is, see, the southeast right now has a candidate that even people, even beyond this country, you may have issues with, see, you may have problems with Peter Obi as a person. That is not my problem. Whether you can like him or not, that is not my problem. But the truth is that today, he is the most popular politician from the southeast. One candidate today, he won 12 states in Nigeria. Which other politician from the southeast has been able to break that genes? In 2023, they say you are as good as your last outing. In 2023 general elections, he won 12 states, including the federal capital, including Lagos. Including Lagos. Who can come out and say that British that will be able to achieve that? Even Buhari couldn't win Lagos. I mean, before he became Ashwaju's, ally. So sometimes we ask ourselves, do we really know what we are doing? Is it just a case of personal vendetta, or I don't like this man? Is that the case? My worry is, quite frankly, if we miss it in the personality of P2B, I don't know when we are going to have a character that we can say, is sellable to the rest of Nigerians. The young people have identified with him. Even beyond the country, they have identified with him. Everybody agrees that, look, this candidate is a sell. Nobody has come out to say anything again. Even in 2023, those who didn't like him never said he's not a good presidential candidate. They only said he's a candidate for the future. Which future? The man is already nearing 60. Because my worry is that if we allow this to slip away, in 2039, when the power will return to the south again, the same forces now may end up diverting it either to the south-south or to the southwest. Now the question I ask is, or rather the statement I want to make is that our leaders, before they support any candidate, they must have a power sharing formula in the south. Southern Nigeria must have a power sharing formula. Until that is done, until that is down, we sometimes appear like we are shooting ourselves in the leg. And what I mean by power sharing formula in the south is all the southern leaders, leaders from the south-south, leaders from the southeast, leaders from the southwest, they must sit down in a round table to say, look, since we have a formula in this country, an understanding of north-south, north-south, anytime power comes to the south, let's discuss where will you go to, so that all of these ethnic tensions that arise will no longer arise. You saw what happened in 2023. The Yorubas and the Igbos almost, became enemies. But if there were an understanding, so anytime power comes to the north, or power comes to the south, it will go to southeast. Anytime, when it comes back again, it will go to south-south. When it comes again, it will go to the southwest, and that rotation will be there. And everybody will know exactly when it is their turn. And there will be less acrimony. Just like we have in Enugu State here. Some kind of understanding in the governorship rotation. Now, somebody from Enugu, is there Enugu West? Or Enugu East is in the saddle. Between 2019 and 2015 and 2023, it was somebody from Enugu North. And I think that understanding, if you don't have that understanding, because it may, in 2039, people will still come here and with all this and snatch it away again, and we'll continue to, I don't know, quite frankly, it bothers me,
I see that you're quite animated about the issue, but finally, before I let you go, just briefly, I want to ask, as against 2027, where we've seen an incumbent who has already done 4 years, do you think if Obi has the chance that the North would entrust him to just do a single term of 4 years, risking 2031 when power should return to the North?
I think Obi himself, you see, we must also, in this country, give people benefit of doubt and hold them accountable, right? I'm not going to judge any man based on the offense of his brother or his friend. Yes, we have seen situations where politicians make promises and they don't keep it. If you're a judge in a law court and 10 people are standing trial before you, and 9 have come, pleaded not guilty, but upon trial you find out that they were guilty. When the 10th person comes, you're not going to just pass judgment because the 9 people pleaded not guilty and eventually they will find out that they were guilty. Because of that, you said the 10th person, you are going to pronounce him guilty without giving that person opportunity for fair trial. That would be a miscarriage of justice. Obi said, given the situation and circumstances and the rotational principle that is being operated, that understanding that is ongoing now, that he's going to go for only 4 years. That is his word. If he gets there and eventually doesn't keep that word, right, he's the one that will carry that stigma. Not me. Not you. He's the one that will carry that stigma.
All right. Just finally, before I let you go, I want to ask, since the declaration in Enugu State speaking about Mr. Peter Obi, you know, his former declaration to join the ADC. We've seen tweets from Bayo Ononuga, Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo. And that of Festus Keyamo is more interesting, where he's alleging the likelihood of Mr. Peter Obi becoming a vice to Atiku Abubakar. In such scenario, do you foresee such scenario occurring? And if it does happen, would you support such move?
Now, to start with, Bayo Ononuga, Peter Obi, Bayo Ononuga and you know, the Honorable Minister of Aviation and all the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, they are wailing unnecessarily. They are wailing unnecessarily. You know, if they are not bothered that P2B joined the ADC, why are they concerned? Their principal is, according to them, is cruising high. So why are they concerned about what happens in ADC? You know, I think they are being more Catholic than the Pope. You know, quite frankly, they are drinking Panadol on another person's headache. And if Obi eventually decides to become vice president to Atiku Abubakar, that will be his choice. That will be his choice. You know. And what is wrong in being a vice president? Being a vice president, is it a death sentence? Is it a sign of failure?
All right, that's quite up, and that's where we'll call it a day. We've been speaking to Mr. Emeka Odom, the veteran journalist and development communication strategist, who is equally a public affairs analyst. Mr. Emeka, it's a pleasure getting this in-depth analysis from you this morning. Thank you for coming to this Sunrise.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you also. Please do not forget that you can grab your physical copies from any of your favorite vendor or cast the e-paper online for more broader information. And also do not forget to follow us across our social media handles across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, all at ANEKE TV. And thank you also. This is where we draw the curtain on Sunrise and ANEKE TV. I am Deborah Wakaba.
And I'm Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. Be unique. Keep watching ANEKE TV. It will come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.